Good afternoon. Hey, before we get this video rolling, I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to Mission Belts and thank them for the belts that you'll see me featuring in this review. I've really appreciated it and enjoyed the opportunity to try their products. So again, thank you Mission Belts, and with no further ado, let's move on with this video. This is a hanger for your belt. You slide it in there and look at that. My name is Ryker, and I've been given an opportunity to review Mission belts, and I thought, hey, why not? We'll give it a whirl. I'll admit, I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about belts. My past experiences is trying to find a good belt, is not as easy as it sounds, right? Finding one that's comfortable and does what you need to do and all that without having to think about it is a little bit challenging. The only way I could accomplish that was I found a belt that I liked, and then I modified it to make it do what I wanted it to do, because there really wasn't any belts out there that would do what I needed to all around and that I wouldn't have to give it much thought. And once you finally get a belt you like, you probably keep it for the better part of your life. That's kind of the way it works for me. So anyway, this Mission belt opportunity came up, and I said, I'll give it a whirl. I got to say, I was, pretty pleased. I got it, and with what I ended up with. I got this box here. They actually sent me 3 belts, and I thought, how cool is that? Well, why is there 4 boxes in here if I got 3 belts? Well, I'll show you in a minute here. But the typical belt is the ones that, of course, you have the holes in it, and that's, the conventional belt system. One of the problems you have with those type of belts is that it's really difficult to get it to fit just right, because the holes are typically spaced about that far away. And one of the things is that, from day to day, what I need changes, because like right now, we're starting to go into, approaching winter now. And so my clothes get a little bulkier, and so it doesn't necessarily fit right. I can't get those, I can't get it to fit just right. So that's one of the issues there. When I found this belt here, you get this nice little box here. It says, thanks for being a part of the mission, and it's got all kinds of little, hey, it says in here, it says, don't get caught with your pants down. I guess that's a good thing with a belt. Got all their little stuff in here. But what I was going to show you is just one of these belts to start with here, and show you why I think it's pretty cool. One thing about it, I'll show you, okay, here's just one of the belts. And like I said, I got 3. I'll show all 3 of them to you so you can kind of see a variety. What it is on the back side of this belt right here, you see that? These right here are a series of teeth right here, little ribs, okay? And so the way this belt works is those go inside here. The belt slips in like this, and if you listen to it, you hear all that clicking? Okay. All right, that's the teeth inside of this thing catching on those little grooves that I showed you here, and you can kind of see it here. I'll put it a little closer so you can see it. And that's what's locking it in place right there. And then there's a little lever, this little lever right here. If you lift up right here, I'm trying to do it with a camera. See this little lever right here? Okay, so you lift up on that, and then it unlocks the belt, and everything slides out. Pretty cool, super slick. And so one of the things that I like about that, obviously, is that the adjustments it has micro adjustments in there, and so every day that it doesn't matter what I'm wearing, I adjust it to wherever I want it. And it may not be, like I said, it might not be the same every day. That's really all there is to it. Now, one of the things, the way I received the belt is that I found it's like, wow, that's way too long for me. And then I realized you have to kind of cut it down to fit. And I kind of want to show you that while I've got the opportunity to just make life easier for you. You see right here, I just took like a little flat tip screwdriver and pried this open right here. There's this little piece right here, and that will release the belt. And you'll see once you release it, there's some little teeth that hold it in place. And I took that, just released it there, pulled it apart, and then measured off my belt to the length that I needed, and then cut it off. It was pretty easy. I just did it with some heavy-duty cutting shears and cut right through it without too big a problem. Okay. Now, one little tip: when I was fitting it, I made sure, and I put the belt back on there, and I made sure that I had the belt basically situated, at the place it needed to be. So when I cut it, the belt buckle itself was in the middle part here. Okay, so that way, once I cut it, then then I could adjust it up and down from there. So that's just a little tip that I would recommend, that when you go to cut these things, be sure you position the belt where it needs to be on you. Okay, and so that the belt buckle is situated right about here. And like I said, that way you can increase or decrease the adjustment once you're wearing the belt. And then I just took the other 3 belts and cut them at the same length, and everything was just great. So it worked really well. Now, one of the little things I'll say is that at first there was a little bit of a learning curve here for me before I put it on, as I tried to figure out how this little buckle thing worked here. And like I said, there's a little lever right here. You got to lift it up in the right spot right here. It lifts up this direction right here. Because once you get it on, it's really kind of hard to get it added underneath of your belt buckle there if you don't know what you're doing. Once you figure it out, it's a piece of cake, super easy. And so I figured that out ahead of time, what I needed to do to release it. And I just recommend that you do the same thing. That way you don't get trapped in your belt and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of here. Super simple, but you know, just want to figure out how that actually works there, and not a big deal. Now, one thing I noticed too is that if you've got it, you know, cinched up fairly tight on you, it's putting pressure on that little release there, and sometimes it sticks and it doesn't want to let go very easy, but all I really do is just squeeze, I just pull on this end just a little bit more to take some of the pressure off of it, and then it'll release. No big deal at all. Anyway, this is one of the belts right here. I'll show you this one. This one has a black buckle on it, and one thing I'll say is that I like the black buckle. It looks really good. Sun's coming up and I'm outside, so sorry about that. And you notice right here on this buckle, see the scratch in it? Okay, I only wore it a couple, 2 or 3 days before I got that scratch in there, and I don't know how I got it in there, but I did, because it's just kind of painted on there. Yeah, you know, I think it'd be really a great buckle for if you're dressing up sometimes, a special occasion, but daily wear, probably not so good this way. I mean, the buckle's fine, works great. I'll probably just take a little black marker and cover that scratch up with no problem, but just something I found along the way. And this one here is kind of made of a fabric there, and then it's sewn onto the backside of, I think, is leather right there. That's what that one looks like, and I like that one all right. Here's another one. Now, I like this one here. This one, I'll show you the buckle. It actually has a flag on it, and and I position it right, you can see that it's actually formed into the buckle right here. You can feel it like there, and I'm sure you could see it by looking at it. It's not just printed on there, it's actually formed into it. That's a pretty heavy duty buckle right there. I really like that one. Also, the other thing I like is it's got this little loop right here. Okay, most belts do, but I got another one right here I'm gonna show you in a minute that didn't come with that. I'm like, what the heck? Why didn't that one come with it? I don't know. But this one does, and so this has kind of been my favorite belt so far. A couple other reasons I like this one though is because of how it's constructed too. If you look at it really close, yeah, it's got like 6 stitches into it, and then it's sewn onto the back of this leather here, like that. And so it's a little stiff at first, but now I've been wearing it for probably a couple weeks, and it's nice and comfortable now, and I really like this one a lot. This one here, not so much for, more dress-up occasions and things like that, but in everyday wear, yeah, this one works great for me. One other belt I'm going to show you is this one. That's what the buckle looks like there. I really like this one. Now, I think this one really works good for a dress-up, and if you look at the leather on it, now this one is leather. There's nothing sewn on this one. It's just straight leather. As most of you know, the nice thing about leather is once you got it broken in, leather, man, there's just really nothing that beats it, for comfort and everything. Fit like a glove, right? But anyway, there's that one right there. In all other respects, mechanically speaking, they're all identical. So now one more thing I want to show you, and I didn't even realize this when they were sending these belts to me, but I had another box here. And I just think this is so cool. One of the problems I have is, I have a number of belts that I use for various things, and they just I loop them over my closet over the rod, and that's where they are. And normally what happens, eventually they just slip off and end up in the bottom of the closet, and I'm crawling around there trying to find the belt I'm looking for. One of the things that Mission Belt did for me is sent these. See that? That's pretty cool. What is that? Well, let me show you. That's pretty awesome. Once you figure out what it is, this is a hanger for your belt, and the way it works is you slide it in there, and look at that. Oh, that's pretty cool. So now these just hang on, hang in my closet just like that, and no problems with them slipping them off anymore, and I can put them where I want, and I'm like, wow, that was pretty smart. I wish I had something like that for my other belts, but the other belts, of course, don't have the same buckle. One thing is just a little bit of a learning curve kind of thing. I never had to expend much of a learning curve on a belt before to figure out how these things work. And I had myself down here scratching my head, okay, this is how that goes and that kind of thing, and I know it's kind of silly, but it is something. But the thing is, it's super simple once you do figure it out. And matter of fact, I've already told you everything you need to know, so it'll be a piece of cake for you. Whereas me, I kind of had to look it over a little bit and experiment with it, and see what I needed to do and figure out how to do the things like with adjusting the belt and whatnot. Anyway, if that is a con, I just took care of it for you. So it shouldn't be a con for you anymore. One was that I had one of the belts missing that loop right there, and I wish that one had it as well. But the one I wear every day, this one here does have it. So just, make sure that they have it if that's something you want. One of the just a little comment too, is that one thing is when you're putting this belt in here, because of that little loop right there, see, it will tend to bypass that if you don't position the belt just right. And I've overcome that. Let me get it apart here again. There you go. It's just that when you put it on, you want to make sure the buckle is actually straight like this so that the belt will slide in right there. See, so it easily slides in. So just something to watch, when you go to put your belt on, just, make sure and keep the buckle straight, and then you won't have to wrestle with it. And then at the same time, I got the belt loop on my pants, that I want this to slide underneath of, and once you figure out how to do that, it's super simple. So no big deal there. Some of these belts are pretty stiff when you first put them on, but hey, what pair of leather boots have ever put on and they weren't stiff too? That's the way leather works. And there's some things you could do is, oil it up or whatever, but you know what, just put it on and flex it, and it's good. The nice thing about that leather is it lasts forever, and once you got it broken in, it's, just really super comfortable. I have a couple belts that I wear, or used to wear all the time, and I was really happy with them. But I'll tell you what, I've switched to this belt and I wear it every day now. I know when you're looking at the belts, I think I'll make one little comment, like this one here is looking at the construction. All their belts are not all the same. The buckles basically are, other than cosmetically, but the belts are all different. So you'll want to pay attention to the actual design, like this one here that I was saying. This one here, it's got the scratch on it. Okay, this one, I didn't really care for the way it was constructed so much. It's just got 2 stitches, one here and one here. And I don't even really know if that's actually, I don't think this is actually leather right here. It doesn't feel like it. It's not stiff and textured. I mean, it's more comfortable than the other belts because it's so flexible. I started off with this being my favorite, but then I realized I don't think that's really leather. So I'm just making the point that not all of their belts are constructed the same. So I'm just want to tip you off to kind of pay attention before you order one to get the one you want. And like I said, hey, leather's leather, it is what it is. This is really, good leather belt right here. And they do come with different patterns and things. There's some in there I really like. There's a couple more I wouldn't mind trying just because of some of the, the cuts in the leather patterns. But then, like I pointed out with this belt here, this one looks like it is leather, and it's actually got 6 stitches all along the length of this thing, holding this thing together. And that's, especially for an everyday wear belt, to me that's a good thing. So just wanted to mention that to you too, so you'll know when you're look at the belts closely before you order them and decide what you need or what you're looking for, what's going to serve you best. So all right, well, like I said, my name's Ryker, and that's what I've got to say about Mission Belts. Thank you, Mission Belts. I love this belt, I really do, and I really like this one a lot too. I know I'm going to be wearing this one a great deal as well, especially for more dress-up type occasions. And so thank you for giving me the opportunity to try these belts, and I love them, man. These are awesome. Thank you much, and we'll see you guys later.